include Bill Pascrell from New Jersey. He joins us now live from Capitol Hill, along with Congressman Mo Brooks. He's a Republican from Alabama. He also voted against the measure last night. Congressman Brooks, let me start with you on this question we just raised with Sahil Kapoor, the reporter for Talking Points Memo, hearing from Democrats that they believe there's a deal here, that John Boehner at some point in the next week will put what they're calling the clean bill, a full year of funding for DHS, no strings attached, on the floor at some point in the next week. Do you think, is it your understanding that there is some kind of a deal?
Well, I'm not a party to the discussions between Speaker Boehner and Nancy Pelosi. I don't know what communications occurred, but I do know this. In my opinion, and I express this to a member of the House leadership, we should have voted on the Senate bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security. If it passed, if that was the will of the majority of the members of the House of Representatives, and so be it, they can defend those votes back home. If it didn't pass, if perhaps the position I have, protecting American workers from job losses and wage suppression occasioned by this huge surge of illegal alien labor that is illegally and unconstitutionally being advocated by the President of the United States, if that position passed, then we would be in a stronger position of forcing the Democrats of the United States Senate to reconsider whether they really want to shut down the Department of Homeland Security in order to help illegal aliens take more jobs and wages from American citizens.
Let me just make sure I'm clear on this then. So what you're saying is that the bill that passed the Senate, this is the so-called clean funding bill, a full year of funding for DHS, no language in there about stopping the president's executive action on immigration. You are okay with John Boehner bringing that to the floor for a vote?
I recommended it to a member of House leadership this week, and we need to see where everybody's positions are. And if that's the will of the majority of the House of Representatives, if a majority of the House of Representatives wants to violate their oath of office to defend and protect the United States Constitution, well, then they can defend that back in their districts and in their states, as so many senators have already committed to doing. And why go through this process of stringing the Department of Homeland Security out for 1 week or 3 weeks if the end result is going to be the same thing? I don't understand that strategy. Let's have an up or down vote. Let the majority decide what is the best interest of the American people, and keep in mind, we're caught in a catch-22. All of us want to fund the Department of Homeland Security. The issue is, are we going to support illegal and unconstitutional conduct, which at the same time has the effect of taking jobs from American citizens, undermining wages of American workers, and putting illegal aliens on a pedestal superior to that of American citizens? That's what the real disagreement is about.
Well, let me ask you, Congressman Pascrell. So Nancy Pelosi, your leader, the House Democratic leader, last night asked you and asked all Democrats to support the 1 week extension, saying that if you do support the 1 week extension, she is confident you will be able to get what you want in the next week, that full year of funding, no strings attached, no immigration language. You still voted no. Why?
Because Homeland Security is a priority. It's not like talking about trading soybeans. We're talking about the very security of this nation. We should not make deals amongst ourselves in order to protect America. And I've told this to my firefighters and police officers in my district. I went down to the border last week and talked to those folks and saw the hard work that they do. They're doing a fantastic job. Remember, we don't only have one border, Steve. We have 4 borders, at least. And we need to pay attention to all of those borders. So I think it would be a violation. I listened to Secretary Johnson, and I've read his letters that he sent to the Congress of the United States. He feels any short-term extension is going to hurt, create more anxiety amongst the troops, the thousands of people who work for Homeland Security. And I suspect, Steve, on the bottom, one of the points in this, and I don't accuse my brother Brooks here of this, but I think there's a very deep dislike concerning federal workers on the other side of the aisle. I mean, there is not the respect shown that they deserve. Because you are working for the federal government, or state government, or local government, doesn't make you a pariah. I support these people. And I think it has a lot to do with the issue.
But let me ask you, though, in terms of getting them, ensuring that they stay on the job, their paychecks keep coming in, the things you're talking about there, this has to get resolved some way. Nancy Pelosi was pointing a direction that she sees for you guys last night, saying if we give them this right now, they are going to turn around and give us what we want in the next week. You said no. So what is the way out that you see?
Like Brother Brooks, we have no assurance that there's a deal. What does a deal mean in terms of the security of the United States of America? We should bring it up for a vote, and I absolutely agree with what Mo just said. Just like we should have brought up the Senate vote on immigration last year. There was a clear vote. There was a bipartisan vote in the Senate of the United States. Why do we link these two positions, these two situations on this particular bill? Why didn't we do it on some other? So it was a strategy that the other side used in order to embarrass the president, and here we are. We do need a clean vote. It should have been last night. In fact, if that vote didn't pass last night, I don't know if you agree with me. If let's say that vote was turned down, Steve, of waiting 7 more days. If that was turned down last night, what would have been the next step? Go home and do nothing?
Well,
maybe we could have brought up the clean vote. And why not?
Well, let me ask Congressman Brooks on that. And Congressman Brooks, as we said, and as you said at the top of the show, you have been asking for that Senate, the so-called clean bill, the Senate bill, to come to the House floor for vote. You say you'd be fine by that. The reporting consistently suggests, though, that a lot of conservatives, a lot of the people in the Republican conference who are most suspicious of, skeptical of John Boehner, are not okay with that, that they see that as giving in, they see that as giving into what the administration wants, giving into what the Democrats want. Do you think, not from you, but from your fellow conservatives, John Boehner has something to worry about if he puts that bill on the floor?
There are 435 House members, and you have a variety of opinions amongst those 435. There are some conservatives like myself who will not vote to fund illegal and unconstitutional executive amnesty that takes jobs and undermines wages for American citizens, period. But if I'm in a minority position on the Senate bill, and apparently 31 Republican senators were in the minority when that bill was voted on yesterday, if I'm in the minority in the House of Representatives, so be it. We are a democracy, which ultimately means that a majority prevails. Now, in this particular instance, here's what's at stake. You have the risk of a federal government shutdown. That's what's at stake. And under those circumstances, I would argue that we have an obligation to prevent that kind of damage that is done to our federal government and to our country. And hence, under those circumstances, I would have preferred that we have a vote on the full measure passed by the Senate and see where the people in the United States House of Representatives stood. And if it failed, then that would reinforce to the United States Senate that their position of defending the president's illegal and unconstitutional conduct is untenable, and they would have to reconsider their position. But if it passed, then this issue would be behind us, and we would start moving on to a lot of other very important issues that still face our country. In the meantime, as Bill has argued, and I think as I concur, we are stringing this thing out. Let's bring it to a head, see where the votes are. If we can dispose of it quicker, that is a whole lot better than stringing it out and doing damage in the interim that can be avoided.
And I think you agree with me that this is not necessarily unconstitutional. We don't know that. That has to be decided. But I agree with you. Let's bring it up and discuss it and debate it as a separate issue. Has nothing to do with those Border Patrolmen, the TSA people who help us when we get on our airplanes, the cops and firefighters in our own districts. Has nothing to do with that directly. And I say, I agree with you that we should have the vote. We should have had it last night.
All right, well, we will see. We got to end it here, but we will see in the next few days if you get your way and you do have that vote on the House floor, and we will see what happens if that is the case. My thanks, though, to Congressman Bill Pascrell from New Jersey, Mo Brooks from Alabama. Appreciate the time this morning from both of you.
My pleasure, Steve. Have a good